Vice President Joe Biden is gearing up for a 2020 presidential run, and the more he speaks, the more it becomes evident to me that he is incapable of saying something that doesn't just straight up piss off the left, because he always is trying to praise Republicans and pretend as if, it's reasonable and pragmatic to reach across the aisle at a time when the Republican Party is downright insane. They're borderline proto-fascist, they're evangelical extremists, and you shouldn't be trying to reach across the aisle. You should be trying to defeat them, and you should try to educate the American people about the threat that they pose not just to America, but to the world. So he's always trying to praise them, and if you'll recall, a couple of weeks ago, he called Vice President Mike Pence a decent guy.
The fact of the matter is, it was followed on by a guy who's a decent guy, our vice president.
Now, I don't have to tell you why saying that Mike Pence is a decent guy is problematic, because Cynthia Nixon on Twitter actually said it for me. She said, "Joe Biden, you've just called America's most anti-LGBT elected leader a decent guy. Please consider how this falls on the ears of our community." Now, to his credit, he then responded to Cynthia Nixon saying, "You're right, Cynthia. I was making a point in a foreign policy context that under normal circumstances, a vice president wouldn't be given a silent reaction on the world stage, but there is nothing decent about being anti-LGBTQ rights, and that includes the vice president." Now, Cynthia followed up saying, "Thanks, Joe Biden. Appreciate the response, but please understand from where we sit, his dehumanizing of our community disqualifies Mike Pence for the honorific of decent regardless of the context." And she is 1,000% right. Mike Pence is someone who supports businesses openly discriminating against members of the LGBTQ community simply because they're different. Well, I may offer wedding cakes to heterosexual couples, but if a gay couple wants a wedding cake, I can't do that for them. I'm going to deny them that service because my religion permits me to discriminate against anyone I see fit. And Mike Pence is okay with that. As the governor of Indiana, he signed a bill into law that allows businesses to openly and explicitly discriminate against members of the LGBTQ community. So this man is nothing more than a bigot who was carried to the White House by an imbecile. So for you to call him decent and claim to be on the left, I find that insulting, because what you're doing, Joe, is you are erasing all the harm that he has done to members of the LGBTQ community. So to his credit, he did kind of walk back that claim, and he tried to say, well, I was talking about him being decent in a different context. It was a foreign policy context. But I'm sorry, even in that context, he's still not a decent guy. They're giving bombs to Saudi Arabia currently that they're dropping on school buses in Yemen. So in no context is Mike Pence a decent guy. He is an extremist, fundamentalist, proto-fascist who we should be fighting at all costs. So, that was the end of the exchange. Cynthia Nixon called him out. He responded, and that was that, right? Well, actually, a couple of days ago, he spoke at a different event, and he kind of passive-aggressively attacked individuals who criticized him for praising Republicans.
Mean pettiness has overtaken our politics. Sometimes it seems like we can't govern ourselves or even talk to one another. If you notice, I get criticized for saying anything nice about a Republican. Folks, this is not who we are. That's not how we got here. We have to remember what it is that makes this nation so special. It's our core values. It's what we believe. It sounds corny, but it's the American creed. For real. We hold these truths self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. We've never met the standard.
Hey, moron, we criticized you because you praised someone who doesn't feel that all men and women are created equal. So don't give me that bullshit. Don't give me those platitudes. You just don't like that we called you out on your bullshit because you were praising someone you were supposed to be opposing. So I don't necessarily know if we want to be overly charitable because he's praised other Republicans and got heat for it. Maybe he wasn't necessarily only talking about, what Cynthia Nixon said. Maybe he was talking about the people who were calling him out in November for basically endorsing a Republican over a Democrat during the midterm election. I'm not sure what the context is, but certainly it's reasonable to group Cynthia Nixon's criticism there. And this is him essentially responding to Cynthia Nixon, oh, come on, this isn't who we are. So this is the type of ally we can expect if you're a member of the LGBTQ community. Joe Biden essentially downplaying our concerns with him praising someone who is vehemently homophobic. And there's a lot of other news coming out lately about Joe Biden that he's going to have to answer for. Extremely racist comments about busing, about segregation. He treated Anita Hill like dirt. He could have tried to rein in some of the comments against her, but he didn't. He's going to have to explain why he's a fucking creep and puts his hands on women who are clearly repulsed by him. There's a lot that he's going to have to answer for. But I think for the people who are worried because he's currently polling higher than Bernie, I don't know who said this, so I can't give them credit for it, but someone on Twitter said, I think that Joe Biden's best day of 2020 will be on the day he announces. He'll get a little bit of a boost, but then it's all downhill from there because like Hillary Clinton, I think you're going to see that the more he talks, the more unliked he becomes. And this is someone who was a gaffe machine. He can't not put his foot in his mouth. He should be trying to win over his own base currently, but it seems like he's trying to win over Republicans. And just, last year? He told millennials, give me a break because we're complaining too much about student loan debt and not being able to purchase anything like cars and homes that his generation was able to purchase and do what they were able to do and achieve what they were able to achieve. And his response, give me a break. So what does he do? In turn, he hires executives to help him, quote, appeal to millennials. It's just downright embarrassing. So Joe Biden is basically the worst possible candidate with the exception of someone like Howard Schultz. But my question to him is, why are you even running in the Democratic primary? Why wouldn't you just switch parties? Because at this point, it's very clear that you don't represent the base anymore. You don't represent the base. You're too conservative, and it seems like you have more in common with Republicans than you do with your own base. So why not just run as a Republican? Primary Donald Trump if you don't like Donald Trump specifically. I mean, I don't know why that's something that seems so unreasonable.
Subscribe if you like this video, folks. Mike's tremendous, and he's doing a really, really good job. Many people are telling me about how wonderful the Humanist Report is. Bigly.